Hey, good to see you right here on 5 Plus. I'm joined today by Trey Reed with the Arkansas Game and Fish Commission. It is definitely the middle of prime hunting season across the state of Arkansas, and we could spend all afternoon, all morning talking about it, but we're going to switch gears. We're going to flip the script here and talk about some incredible fishing opportunities now included here in Northwest Arkansas, parts of the River Valley, elsewhere across the state of Arkansas, and some fishing opportunities that may entice you a little bit more than normal. Trey, what's going on over at Game and Fish?
Man, it is winter, well, approaching winter time, Scott. Obviously, much cooler temperatures. And what those cooler temperatures allow us to do is bring some trout to some places where they normally wouldn't exist because water temperatures are too high. We've got incredible tailwater trout fisheries across the state, the Beaver Tailwater, the White River, Norfolk, the Little Red, and others. But rather than folks having to go to those tailwaters, we are stocking trout in family and community fishing program ponds across the state. Our family and community fishing program been around for 20 plus years now, a way to engage local communities, maybe folks in more urban areas that don't get out and fish as much because of proximity to some of those tailwater trout fisheries, as I was talking about. So the water temperatures with the air temperatures drop low enough in the wintertime to support trout survival, even in southern Arkansas. So we are stocking our 39 family and community fishing program ponds around the state, many of those in the River Valley and in Northwest Arkansas, with rainbow trout. We actually started the stockings a couple of weeks ago, but one thing we're doing to sweeten the deal throughout the winter, Scott, is to stock some golden rainbow trout. These are a color phase of rainbow trout. They're bright gold, yellow. I mean, they're unmistakable in the water, but they're also going to be unmistakable because we're stocking 10 of those at each of those 39 locations with all the golden rainbows will be tagged. And if you catch one of those tagged fish, call the number on the tag and follow the instructions that you receive at that recording. You'll be just directed to mail that tag in. If you do that before February 28th, you will be entered into a drawing for one of 3 weekend getaways for guided trout fishing on Arkansas tailwaters. So not only do you get to catch the fish, take it home, eat it, have the fun with your family out there, but you could win a weekend getaway with a professional guide here in Arkansas.
10 of those at the 39 different family and community fishing locations. So 390 of these golden rainbow trout among all of the other rainbow trout that you guys stock as well.
Yeah, that's important to note, Scott. We have been doing this for, again, I think 2001 was the first year we experimented with this down in central Arkansas with stocking rainbow trout in some of these family and community fishing program ponds. And I mean, it was just the public has loved it. So we've done it ever since. Again, we start typically the week before Thanksgiving stocking rainbow trout. Then and it's not just in the wintertime. We stock catfish throughout the spring and into the early summer. Some of these ponds are smaller and shallower, so we do run into some dissolved oxygen issues in like July and August. So we cease those catfish stockings, then resume them in September, October, and then come in November through February, basically stocking the rainbow trout.
It's an incredible opportunity to introduce someone to the world of fishing, the great outdoors. I'm reminded of my time in Little Rock at our sister station there. I had a little, is what we call them, through Big Brothers Big Sisters, and he had never been fishing. And so I was watching your schedule on your website of when you were going to stock certain ponds there around central Arkansas, and I made sure I took him on one of those days where it had just recently been stocked. And the short answer is you're almost guaranteed to catch something. Those fish are willing to bite. And he had an incredible time, and he was hooked, no pun intended. So folks out there looking for something to do to get the kids involved, this is certainly an incredible opportunity. That schedule is over on Trey's website, agfc.com. It wouldn't be right if Trey and I were talking and we didn't talk a little bit about ducks. We're kind of in the break. We've had our first season. Season kicks back into gear next week. Trey, what's been noticed thus far?
Well, Scott, I don't think it's any surprise that, we were in a drought throughout much of September and October. Finally got some rains in the late part of October and a few more in November. But it's been warm. It's been an incredibly warm fall, and it was a dry fall, and I think that was reflected in the first part of the season. I think the reports I've heard, if you had some water, you probably did pretty good. It might have been short-lived the first couple of days of the season, and then the birds are like, hey, we're being pressured, we're being shot at. Let's find a new place to go. So I think that was kind of the consensus of what I heard. But even some traditional areas in the Delta that have managed water early in the duck season in late November, some of those places weren't even having great success. So I do think that this recent cold weather that we've had is likely to push some more birds into Arkansas. We haven't flown any aerial surveys yet, so I don't have any data to share yet. But as far as duck numbers go, but we could stand some more rain. I think we're getting some this weekend, and a lot in southeast and southeastern parts of the state, which is prime duck hunting country. So I do hope that we do get some of this beneficial rain. I've said it to you a number of times, Scott, but rainfall is the number one driving factor to duck abundance in Arkansas. And when we have all that sheet water out on the rice fields and other ag lands, when the bottomlands of the White and Cache and St. Francis and Black Rivers flood, that's when things get right in Arkansas. And we have had some flooded bottomlands, particularly up in northeastern Arkansas, but east central, southeast, a lot of parts of the River Valley. We do have some decent managed water in some of our moist soil units in the River Valley, but we could use some more water. And we've got the cold now. Now bring on the rain. That's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, rain chances here best going to be in the River Valley, but even then, it's not likely to amount to much. I think that prime Delta area, where Stuttgart, Monticello, southeast, 1 to 2 inches, but I'm afraid that's not really enough, right? And if you look in the extended forecast a little bit later, my question is, are we ever going to get that good soaking rain? And I just don't see any signs of that just yet. Okay, switching gears. Talk about bird flu, avian influenza, hearing a little bit of rumbles yet again early this season.
Yeah, absolutely. With duck season reopening after the split, it opens on Tuesday. We started receiving some reports from the public during that first segment of the season, which opened on November 23rd, that folks were seeing some snow geese that were acting in an unusual manner. They weren't flying off when people entered fields, and they're waddling around, kind of seemed confused. And that is a telltale sign of avian influenza. This is not anything new, and it's not catastrophic. It's not anything to be, hyper concerned about, but it is something to keep an eye on. It's something that hunters should be aware of. We first saw this novel strain of avian influenza a couple of years ago. Of course, it was all over the headlines with egg prices and, its effect on domestic poultry flocks. And so, some folks may remember that. So, that again, I think that's probably, if there's something reassuring about it, is it's like, okay, this is not brand new, and so birds have been exposed over the last couple of years. And so, you have things like resistance and antibodies that build up and that sort of thing. And look, I am no veterinarian or scientist, but I'm telling you, when we first saw it a couple of years ago, it had just emerged, and so it was a little bit of a bigger concern. So we're just asking duck hunters and goose hunters, waterfowl hunters, anybody that's out in the field to just be aware. Obviously, you don't want to harvest those birds. You probably don't want to eat them. So just let them be and focus on the healthy birds. When you are and birds can have this without showing signs of it, obviously. So, clean your hands well after cleaning your birds. Wear, nitrile, latex gloves, whatever, when you're doing that, and just best sanitary procedures and precautions when you're cleaning your birds. And if you see this in a place where you hunt, go to agfc.com, and we've got a button there on the website with a link to an email where you can report, and we'll go and especially where there are a lot of deceased birds, pick those up, submit them for testing. We did some of that during the first season. We have got some positive confirmation. So it is likely that some of these things you're seeing will be snow geese primarily, but can affect waterfowl and other predatory birds and critters that eat those birds. But you're likely going to be seeing some of that as you go afield in the coming weeks.
Yeah, Trey, to your point of this isn't anything necessarily new, I'm reminded of the fact that you and I have had this conversation twice in the last 2 years, and it's always at the beginning of duck season or waterfowl season, and it's always in situations where we're lacking rain, where there's a bit of a drought. And I think some of the unproven theories, but they check out to me, is that it has to do with a lot of these birds are congregating in the few places in which there are areas of water. And
I
once
think
we get some rain, they spread out because there's more habitat, and then there's less spread, and then you see less reports of this. Is that something that we might be looking at again this year?
very valid point, Scott. Absolutely, and you're right. The last couple of years, it's been the same scenario, and it's not uncommon early season in Arkansas to have these drier conditions because September and October are a couple of our driest months in Arkansas. So it's not unusual. But yes, you're right. It's going to concentrate the birds in those areas where there are water, where there are food sources, and so naturally, as you congregate, it's the whole super spreader event kind of thing,
Yep.
right? That we all learned about during COVID-19. So it's kind of analogous to that. You put a lot of animals together, some of them are sick, more of them are going to get sick. So I think that's a fair point, and it's correct that as we get more water across the landscape, and some of those birds can spread out more, that it may be you may have theoretically at least you would have less disease transmission that way.
Makes a lot of sense. All right, that's going to do it for this edition of 5 Outdoors. Good luck to you if you're going to go out and try to catch one of those golden rainbow trout. Sounds like a really special opportunity. Incredible opportunity just every day without the added incentive of winning a getaway trip. Just to be able to go fish the great outdoors here in Arkansas, managed by the Game and Fish, and they're doing a good job keeping those fish stocked there. Trey, thanks so much. We'll see you here soon on 5 Outdoors.